welcome back from Bermuda, Her Highness, who's actually escaped. Well, nearly lost her life. What was all that about? You drowned, or you nearly drowned?
No, I didn't drown. Otherwise, I've been reincarnated back to me. No, it was quite because they have very, very gentle waters around there, very gentle waters. But there's this one particular beach. I mean, there's beaches absolutely everywhere, and this is a private beach that's owned by a golf club and a beach club, and it's beautiful, beautiful. But my son-in-law said to me, be careful here because the tides, the waves don't show themselves to be as powerful and as big as they actually are, which is true. So anyway, I went in. I said, a bit cold. So I said to my granddaughters, no, 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 not warm enough yet. So then they said to me, oh, come on then, in we go again. So I was like, okay. So I got up to my thighs and I said to my little granddaughter who's 7, I said, do you know about the wave? Do you know about the seventh wave is the biggest wave? And I said, when we lived in Portugal, the seventh wave, we lived near Nazaré. And the seventh wave was like 100 foot and it would like come in on. So the seventh wave is always the biggest. So let's count the waves. So now she's little and she's like bobbing around in the waves and she's a very strong swimmer. I'm a strong swimmer. But anyway, we got one, wave two, three, four, five, six. And I saw this big thing coming at me. But the drag from the ebbing of the sixth wave was really fierce. Took the sand from under my feet. I fall over just as I see this colossal wave crashing down on me. And I couldn't swim my way out of it. I lost my sunglasses and I was tumbling around this wave, like swallowing half the ocean. And I was just, it felt like it was going on forever because I was quite some way out when, not a long way out, but I certainly wasn't on the beach edge when this wave carried me on because it was tumbling. Suddenly it crashed on the beach and spewed me out like a beached whale onto this
Oh my
posh
goodness
beach
me!
with all these
I've,
very elegant people. And there's
uh,
me.
I've got one question to ask. What on earth were you going in the sea with your sunglasses on for?
It's so bright. And one of the guys on the beach who was doing all the not the deck chairs, but the lovely, lovely beach things out. We've got a towel, madam. And he said, oh my gosh, he said that happened to me. Well, I sort of think, really, if that is known to be like that, and there's children there as well, they should have a lifeguard.
Yeah,
See,
exactly.
health and safety isn't a big thing in Bermuda.
No, it's not in Spain either. Although, having said that, Spain's just won the award again for the umpteenth time for the best number of blue flag
Oh, I don't
beaches.
think we've got a blue beach here. I mean, all of them in Bermuda are. They're turquoise blue, extraordinary. And but this one, and the colour of my ring here, but this one just, I can remember rolling around thinking, I was scared. I was really scared.
Well, yeah,
Anyway, here I am.
content is yes.
Can't get rid of me.
Not that easy, is it? This seventh wave bit, by the way, people think, oh, well, that's for the birds. Actually, it's never been proven, but most times it does happen.
But
And
in Nazaré, have you not seen the beautiful, but ugly, fisherwomen's petticoats that they wear? Have you not noted they have 7 petticoats,
oh,
and it's the national dress up in Nazaré. And the women who are the real fishermen's wives, they wear these awful thick knitted socks, and they have these really ugly skirts. And the seventh petticoat, which is the one on the top, is resembling the seventh wave because they're colossal in Nazaré, and very often that's what gets comes over on the fishing boats and it drowns them.
yes. Well, as a registered skipper of a vessel, you are taught that, and we were taught that it doesn't always happen.
No.
But you've got to be aware. And I remember once off Beachy Head, we were setting off back to the Isle of Wight against my wishes, by the way. But my nearest and dearest said, "Oh, we've got visitors. We've got to get back." I said, "You're not going to enjoy Beachy Head. It's not for you." Oh, yes, we'll go. We're on top of the boat. It's 20 foot high and we'll be all right. Well, it wasn't. It was the solid stuff was coming, not the spray. The actual solid stuff was coming over the flybridge, and it wasn't pleasant. And she shrieked, "I want to go back." I said, "Well, you should have been listening." But I had to wait on that occasion for the seventh wave to pass before you turn the boat round. Otherwise, you've got risk of broaching and turning the boat over, of
Well,
course.
that's right. You
Mm.
can't, yeah, it's difficult to drive into it, isn't it, as well? But I mean, I just say that because I mean, the beaches in Bermuda are safe beaches, but I think as people are going on holiday, don't get clever when it says do not swim or whatever. Listen, because it just showed how quickly that could happen. And I'm a strong swimmer.
The
And
locals,
I couldn't swim out of it. I couldn't
no,
swim out
no,
of it.
the
I
the
had to go with
local,
it.
the locals know. Always get local advice. That's it.
Absolutely. And listen
Told
to
about.
it.
Yeah,
Listen to it because
yeah. Locals know best.
unfortunately, because they pick up the pieces.
Well, yes, indeed. Well, listen, you're back. Sooner stayed out there, wouldn't you? You coming back to glorious Britain with no problems? What are you
Oh,
complaining
no,
about?
two-tier care. What else could we do? Oh, yes, over 11,100 migrants have come in this year, and it's the highest ever. And we had a phenomenal number over the weekend, apparently. And I mean, how does he think he's going to bash, you know, one holy, huge, broken thing in his manifesto? We're going to smash the gangs. You can't smash the
No,
gangs
no, no.
because a lot of the gangs are here,
The frightening
supporting
thing
and
is that
funding.
they've actually admitted they've lost control.
Well, that's no good admitting it. What are they going to do about it?
Well, it's true, but it must be bad if they're saying it.
Oh, absolutely right. Absolutely right. And there is, I do believe underneath the surface, there is a touch paper that's going to go soon. People
Uh,
aren't really sick of it. I mean, when they're saying, oh, we can't pay winter fuel allowance, we can't do this. Oh, yes, we're going on a war footing, but we don't have anything to fight with. What?
yeah.
Oh, tell your enemy now's the time to hit us because we can't fight back.
Oh, well, we can perhaps in 10 years
In
when we
10
get
years'
new
time, yeah, by
submarines.
which time we won't exist. But also, I mean, these migrants are costing £1 billion a day in benefits. So I don't understand why, if you haven't got your papers and you haven't got your passport, you go back.
Yeah,
End of.
yeah.
What's the problem? Oh, yes, and I don't know what the Danish system is, but there was something on the TV this morning that said whatever it is the Danes are doing, and they are known to be very sociable people, caring people, but their immigration has gone down to about zero. And I don't know what it is they're doing.
Well, no, they're just not attending to the international law, which should not be there anyway after 70 years.
Oh,
They're, being sensible about the interpretation. But you won't get a dyed-in-the-wool, true Brexit unloving gentleman by the name of Keir Starmer. You'd never get him to love anything about Brexit or anything but the law. He's been brainwashed because he's doing things now that just do not, well, they fly in the face of common sense.
he hasn't got any common sense, has he? He's also a liar. He's a flip-flop. He's a Marxist. He's a control freak. How on earth did the Chagos Islands deal go through without a huge debate in Parliament? How could he just sign something off? I mean, and where they're so spineless, the people in his backbenches. They should know by now he's the most. I mean, they'll be lucky if they ever get in again. And you would think that they would be like building up a rank and file to actually try and bring him down and have a vote of no confidence, or doesn't it work that way?
Well, I tell you why it doesn't work is that, and this has apparently been verified, that when he first met his beloved, she was in the state of the law in another law firm. He phoned up and sort of over the phone fancied her. And she, at the end of the conversation, turned to her colleague on the next desk. Who the blankety blank blank blank, and it was a blankety blank blank blank, does he think he is? Well, no, it is true. We checked it out, but maybe he has some hidden charms because obviously he won her round. Did I say charm? And there they are. Or are some people so stupid that they think they can take on somebody of his stature.
He's just arrogant. He's absolutely arrogant, and he's so arrogant that he refuses to double back on something because that's the best advice. He will keep going regardless. So with the boat situation, I mean, and the French, look at that. How many billions? For over 420 billion we've paid the frogs. And they can't even jump in the water. They don't get their little tootsies wet. They can't get their
But
tootsies.
yeah, they have been told that they've got to do it and they've agreed to do it, but it's not been done. It's dragging on.
And also, they're not using the technology they're supposed to have used.
Nope, they're not. And somebody's come up with a bright idea, which I support exactly. We're not going to give you 12 years free fishing
Yeah,
unless you come to your senses, because they block us at every way. France is not Britain's friend.
no, no, they're not. And then you got Macron, Macron and his abusive wife. I mean, what a story
Oh,
that is.
that's a beautiful story. I've watched the footage carefully. In my humble opinion, she's not slapped him. It looks like something behind the scenes, playful. He's pushed. It's not a slap. It's a push. But the real bizarre thing about that story, of course, which has now escaped and again has been verified, she was his teacher when he was only 3. Listen, you get arrested for that in Britain.
Oh, it's different if you're ooh la la. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I tell you one thing he's got right. And this happened about a week ago. He is that fed up of the immigration, especially the Islamic immigration. He said, "You're not spoiling and changing our culture. We've had
Yeah.
it too long. Literally go away." Now, having said that, he's 100% right. I wish we had some leader in Britain that would say the same and stand up for our own culture.
Absolutely right. But how is he going to stop it now it started? I can't remember who it was. Well, maybe it was the whole of the European Union. I don't know. I can remember saying at the time the worst thing we ever did was open the borders.
Yes.
And that's where it all started because it was like suddenly, putting the plug out of a dam.
Don't forget, we're talking about Islam, and Islam has stated, and it's not just for the hardliners, but it's the way they've worked throughout history.
Yeah,
Their intent is to take over your nation by whatever means. Now, it's a shame for the 2/3, and it's about that ratio, that are normal, nice, happy Muslim people, but there's a good third of them that want a caliphate.
absolutely. And I
Lock
mean,
up everything.
I know some lovely Muslim people, and I actually feel sorry for them because it's like grouped as if it's all of them, and it isn't all of them. It's like, I mean, we've got some really dross white people in our country, for goodness sake. So it's not just about the Muslims, but the thing that I can remember years ago when I worked in a hospice, there was a guy there, he was Muslim and he had motor neurone disease, sadly, and I used to sort of help him, and I then had a foot massage, not a foot fetish, a foot massage
Yeah, yeah,
qualification.
yeah.
And I used to help him, like, and when we were
Prince
doing this,
Andrew had that.
I didn't suck his toes or anything like that. He, yeah, he said then, and we're going back to the 70s, 80s. That's right. And he was saying then that, and quite seriously, this is what the Muslim intention is. And I thought, oh, I was absolutely mortified to know that. And he was absolutely adamant that's what our aim is.
Yeah, it is. It is. Right. So one doesn't mind proselytization as long as it's done peacefully. People are given the choice. But that ain't proselytization. It's taking over your country, mind, body, and spirit. It
Enoch
is
Powell,
dangerous.
come back, please.
Yeah, there we are. There's quite a few people saying that at the moment. But I'm going to talk about Erdington because this is all about change and what's happening in GB. Erdington is about 4 or 5 miles outside Birmingham. And it's very typical of what's happened with a lot of towns, small towns. and villages. And now I know you live in this beautiful village, and that is truly England, and it's idyllic and great. But let's see what's happened to a lot of places. You move in there, you have a good 3 or 4 years. Life is wonderful. You join the social club and the village hall and the church and the pub, and it's just an idyllic lifestyle. Having said that, until it rains, by the way, yeah. And it happened just to the northeast of Birmingham in this lovely place until we got all the illegal and legal immigrants coming in. It has changed the town
Mm.
100%. People have seen their property values go really down. They can't walk out peacefully. A lady has reported what's happened from a personal point of view when she was accosted in her car sitting there. Bang on the window, wind that window down, bang on the roof. How dare you be a middle-aged white woman sort of speech she got. Really derogatory because she was a white middle-aged woman. And who's that? I mean, she was shaking at the end of it, had to be rescued by another woman. Oh, take no notice, he's from this particular guy from Eastern Europe. He's out of his mind. Probably was because the drug taking that's come
Yeah.
into that village and the marijuana you can smell on every street. It's changed society. You don't go out in the evening. 1 in 5 of the inhabitants are now born outside Britain. And that's not just Erdington, it's lots of places
Yeah.
that have been ruined. And the
Yeah.
government, successive governments,
Mm.
especially
Mm.
this one, are letting things happen.
Yeah, well, it's dreadful. I mean, we are, how long we'll stay like we are, I don't know. But as you say, we are like, what am I, 4 miles away from Woburn Safari Park. So the land we live on all belongs to the Duke of Bedford, right? And it's all very lovely and very, very English and very twee and lovely. I do think people here live in a bubble. They don't, they really do. But the thing is, so Bedfordshire is a small county. There's only about 250,000 in the whole of the county. I mean, you've got that number in Milton Keynes. I mean, it's just so, and it is dreadful that we do fear for we got a big meeting tomorrow about 175 houses that are proposed to be built by Persimmon Homes, and everybody's up in arms about it. We've been campaigning for 4 years for them not to be built, but that's because there is no infrastructure. That's because there is, our roads are lanes. They're not even B roads. And when I do the speed watch thing, which is what we've been doing, because they're very windy and they're very narrow, it's a car and a half, and the sides of the roads are crumbling, potholes everywhere, and it's just an accident waiting to happen. So my son says to me, "Oh, you're NIMBY." I said, "We're not NIMBYs. Somebody is going to get killed. You can't just keep shoving up these houses with no infrastructure." And of course, it's going to get worse because we've got Universal Studios that's going to start being built. And then the east, west, whatever you want, train line that's going to go from Oxfordshire, linking Oxford University to Cambridge University. That goes back to the war times, doesn't it? There was that rail line that went through Bletchley. That's why Bletchley was so useful because those, university students were part of the code breakers. But my son said to me, and that's going to bring apparently 1 million homes to be built. Well, 1 million homes, I mean, we won't have any fields left. I mean, we've got beautiful wildlife here. I mean, it really, and I feel I am a big fan of wildlife and the environment because it does help your mental health. So I'm a big fan of bees. And if you, what happens if people go, "Oh, the bee population is disappearing"? Well, if it disappears, then you're going to be dead in 10 years because you need the bees. Now, the trouble is with the new builds, and the ripping down of the bushes, the foliage and all that stuff, the trees, they disrupt completely flight paths that bees have used for centuries. So the bees don't know where to go or what to do. So, we've got beautiful skylarks. We've got it's such lovely, lovely, and we've got what they call red list. These are animals and birds that are due to be extinct. I don't give a darn about that. Let's just rip up the fields and it's just absurd. And I mean, I know you look at Luton and Bedford, it's just a bit like Erdington, quite honestly. We're lucky we are this place right in the middle, but goodness only knows what it's going to be like.
I now fully understand why they're saying the birds and the bees. It's all about reproduction, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if we don't reproduce, we go down the path. Having said that, we're reproducing at about, I think, 1.4
Mm.
at the moment, which is not enough for anybody to survive eventually.
Well,
Mathematics.
eventually, yeah. But I mean, if you think at how the world is, I mean, I know you can get really depressed and stupid about it, but I do know people in their late 30s who say, I don't want to bring a child into this world as it is now. I don't want to bring a child into Britain as it is now.
I've
And I
heard
know,
that
of
on
course,
so many. I've heard that on so many occasions.
yeah, I
And
mean, and also not, and also Rodney, because of the social media, the phones. I mean, it was bad enough when you and I were bringing up our kids. Parenting has never been easy. It's not easy. It's one of the hardest jobs you can do. And to do it effectively and responsibly is even harder. But now parents with I mean, the social media, I mean, all that horror that you have to face now with children growing up. I mean, it is a minefield of poison, to be honest.
difficult times. Let's
Very difficult.
talking about poison. Let's just
Well,
have a look at
toxic.
our universities. Having said that, let's just for a minute look at what it gets you, where it gets you. What do you want to do after you leave university? Now, so many people go to uni, I'm afraid, thinking of what's the culture life like, what's the drinking life like, and that's all. And they soon find out, well, it's not like that. A lot of them leave, of course, early along the 3 year course. But let's look at it from the old pound, shilling, and pence thing. If you go to a technical college, they've all been changed to
Mhm.
universities. In the good old days, then you came out as a plumber, electrician, whatever, and you made a lot of money and you were earning straight away because a lot of the courses were part time, evening courses. You go to uni, nothing. Well, you actually get, on average, nearly £50,000 in debt, and
Mhm.
you've got to pay it back. So that's the first negative about going to a uni.
Mhm.
But the biggest thing, of course, is for goodness sake, choose your course. And I'll give you an example. If you go into the sciences, especially the business sciences, and if you go into law, after 5 years, you're earning £100,000 a year. So it's jolly well worth getting a degree to earn that much. But if you go into agriculture
Mhm.
or the media, the favourite thing, you're earning 25,000. That's just
Mhm.
above the average wage. It's not worth it. You saddle with £50,000 worth of debt.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, I think, crazy courses that don't bring anything to a job later on, and it is to some extent a cop out. I mean, a cop out of real life, really. How can I avoid being in the real life situation? I know I'll do that for 3 years, and have a degree that is because the thing is, I don't think that people understand, the kids don't understand, is that debt that you accrue. If you then want a mortgage, that goes against you because you have to put down what your debts are. And the fact that that was to better your education and all that does not make any difference to a mortgage company. So my children, when they came out, their debt was about 20 grand and they paid it all off. But before they got their mortgages, but that, you know, if you've got 50 grand, that is a heck of a lot to pay back. And that's what I think. If you are, we need carpenters and mechanics and electricians and plumbers. We need those things. And you can run your own company. You are never going to be out of work. If you're good at your job in any of those crafts, you're flying. And it's not right. I always said at the time when I was teaching, university might be every child's right, as Tony Blair said, but not every child is suitable for university. They're not. And that was an unrealistic thing he said. And I think it's not helped an awful lot of kids, quite honestly, that thought, oh yes, I'd like to try some of that. Well, I don't think you should go to university unless it is something you need for your degree. So two of my children are actuaries and they needed to get a maths degree. They had to do that in order to start the actuarial exams. My son wanted to go into public affairs, and so he needed to do politics. He needed to understand all of that. My daughter, what did she do? She did, oh golly, business social studies or something, and she got to work for Sheikh Mohammed and became a a strategic planner or something. But those degrees got them good jobs, but not all degrees are going to happen like that. We used to have teacher training colleges, didn't we? Where you went to like Goldsmiths was a good one, a proper teacher training college where you came out, you understood the psychology of the child, the neural makeup of a child. You don't do that in the PGCE, the post grad certificate of education. It's not even a year. It's about 7 months in real terms, out of which a term is teaching practice, which means you've only got two other terms where you're learning what? A Bachelor of Education degree. I don't know if anybody does BEd degrees anymore.
Things have changed since we were at college. I mean, it used to be called Teacher Training College. There were times when you used to go out on TP,
That's right.
teaching practice, and you were placed in suitable education establishments, and you learned it there. I went a completely different course, and it ties in with something else we got to mention today. I was teaching before I went to college out of desperation.
Yeah.
The assistant head of the 11 plus year injured himself quite badly. And I was invited in, goodness knows, only because I mentioned that I wanted to go to college and was a bit of a likely lad, apparently. They said, oh, come and help us out. I finished up by teaching an 11 plus year. It's the major year because you had to get a good 11 plus exam to get into university. So that was a bit of madness, but it worked out for me and the kids. We both loved each other. We got things that I learned so much about netball from the girls. I had some fantastic girls in my class. They were absolutely tops up here, and they physically could. Well, we won the Lancashire Championship. I've never heard of netball before, but they taught me very quickly.
But I think you look, I just love teaching. I wouldn't want to do it now because it's
Oh,
just,
it's changed. No,
oh, it's changed beyond recognition. And I wouldn't, but I loved my job and you learn so much from children. They can teach you as much as you teach them. But what was
absolutely.
that thing? Oh, golly, you mentioned that everybody's got to have this skill set now.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's Bridget Phillipson, of course.
Oh,
This
she
is
can
going
go.
to cost the Labour government nothing. That's why it's been done. She's got to justify her position. And apparently everybody wants to be a QTS now, which is a qualified teacher off qualified teacher status. Now that is another madness. You've got your qualification, and the private schools stand out. They don't insist on a QTS or will not insist on this when it goes through. They want somebody that can actually teach.
Yeah,
And they're
yeah.
actually recruiting people quite a lot from the armed forces. For instance, for mathematics, there's no better training and there's no better teachers often than the armed forces because they've had discipline. They
Yep,
know what to do with the kids. That is
yep.
a major feature of education today. It's all right saying, oh, I can put the grey matter to work in my own head. But
Mm.
if you can't teach, if you can't
It is a skill.
discipline,
It's a skill.
it's
It's
not
a
going to
skill.
happen.
I honestly do think real teachers are born teachers. It's a
They are
vocation. I mean, I loved it. It was just for me an absolute natural fit. And I loved it. But you can see a natural teacher a mile off that can just get and open someone's mind. They can turn that key, they can get behind the eyes, and they know you can't just say any old person can stand up in front of a class and hold the attention and impart knowledge that is of interest and be aware that is there anybody in this class that isn't understanding? So teaching music, like I did, it's really difficult to teach because you've got some children that are doing grade five, others don't even know what a treble clef is, but you've got to make sure everybody has gone out of that room and learnt something. And that is a skill. That's an observation skill as well. It's a innate thing. And just because you've done a PGCE, I have seen some very good people that have gone into teaching with that, but I've seen an awful lot of others that were just doing it because they couldn't find a job. Oh, I'll do a PGCE and and I'll go into it that way, get a job that way, and it's just not the way to do it. It
Well,
really isn't. And if everyone, I mean, who exactly is going to have this QTS then? How are you going to get it? What is it?
well, everybody's supposed to have it in a state school. Thank goodness we got just about the private sector. They're trying to do without that. They,
But what? But if you're teaching in a state school, why do you also need a QTS? Your teacher.
yeah, well, it's another layer of bureaucracy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
not what you're
true.
doing, you don't have time to teach these days.
No, true.
Forms.
Well, half of the teaching things nowadays, you're a social worker.
Yeah, sadly, that is true. There you go. Let's get back to the unis. Things don't get any better when you get older. There we go. We've got some interesting stacks on that. But before we go into that in detail, let's mention again students choose courses that are going to be helpful for you because at present, when you go to university, you're in for rampant wokeism, whether you like it or not. You're in for silly subjects
Mm,
that will produce nothing except
mm,
great for everybody. Well, when you go to a university, as we've mentioned, yes, there is the non-scholastic side, and to get mates, which will last you for the rest of your life,
yeah,
is a good thing.
yeah.
But I mean, let me quote some statistics that are now very apposite. First class honours degree, 7% used to claim that accolade, and you had to be pretty good to get a first class honours degree. That 7% is now 30%. Oh, our standards are going up, our children are more intelligent. What? Let me tell you how they get to that figure. Well, there's various things here. First of all, exams. Now, COVID's assisted in this, or de-assisted in this, if that was such a word. You've got a situation whereby you're going to finish up with some mental health problems. You've probably got them now. So therefore, you can't stand the stress of the examination room. Now, this is the end of education. I kid you not, unless it's got hold of now. AI is within us, so
No.
therefore you can put your subject in a computer. Now, if you're a good teacher and a good marker of papers, you can spot it. But I tell you what, it's awfully difficult. Most of the kids now are doing this and they're getting away with it by altering little phrases to their
Mm,
own
mm,
phrases. And
mm,
it looks as though it's come from that child and
mm.
not from AI. So that you've been sussed by your students, university lecturers, know that. So you've got that problem. You've got the problem of people coming in to a examination room, getting the EBGBs and walking out. All right, we'll have your course marks as the most important thing. And not only that, lots of courses now are all coursework. There's no exam because it
Mm.
might affect you mentally. Now, that's open to abuse like you wouldn't believe. Elder brother, elder sister, person that you know can do the work for you. You send in the paper and you get a pass mark. That is ridiculous. Let me say that, and I approve of this, and I'm going to be popular again, and it still goes on in certain countries. What about an interview as well as coursework? and an examination. Because let me tell you, you've got to face an interview before you get that job.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
Let's
absolutely.
go back to the
Absolutely.
good old
Absolutely.
days and say, have an interview with another member of staff and see if you pass that as
Mm.
part of your degree.
Yeah, actually, that is a good idea, actually. That is a good idea. But in a way, though, if you're doing languages and you do the oral part of the exam, that that is sort of like an interview, isn't it? It's certainly a sweat box, I have to say
Yeah, it's
that.
very difficult. I remember it well. I took French, and out of all the subjects, it's the only one I failed. We had a dreadful French. No, she was very nice, the French teacher, but she should never have been a teacher because all
Yeah,
she was done is
yeah, yeah.
wound up, and she had
Our French teacher, Miss Hutchins, I remember her. She said, "I don't even like children,"
no.
but she was French. She was French, and I don't think she liked the English either.
Oh, everybody failed in our year because she just couldn't could control everything. Hence the importance of the
Yeah.
gift of teaching.
But there is when I've trained students, student teachers, I was always sort of sent to them to sort of like mentor. I don't know why I was chosen, but I did. But I said, when you walk into that classroom, it's like walking into onto a stage to do a present, a performance. The moment you walk in, by the time you've got to your desk, the whole of the class have assessed you.
Yes, you've got
Straight away.
first second is important.
First, second you walk in, how you hold yourself, how you're dressed, and you have to go in. If you're going to wear something that's just come out of your back of your cupboard that you haven't worn for 10 years, it's sloppy, it's old-fashioned or whatever, the way you walk in sets the tone. And you've either got them or you've lost them by the time you get to your desk. And it's true. I've seen it so many times. And I would get them practicing. I see, this is how you walk into a class. This is how you do it. That's how you get the respect. That's how you get the engagement, or they will run ragged. I mean, they're brutal children, aren't they?
Well, yeah,
We gave our RE teacher a nervous breakdown. We were so, that was a
I think
Catholic school.
every art teacher finishes up with a nervous
Yeah,
breakdown.
no, our RE, we was at a Catholic school and she was our RE teacher and we gave her a terrible time. And then she was off sick and she had a mental breakdown. I mean, oh God.
Yeah, it's a tough job. People don't realize
Oh,
it's
it is a tough job.
and a very important job, and they're not paid enough. And certainly, I had to leave the profession
Mm,
because we were married with kids,
mm,
and it was the worst time in teaching history. And
mm.
all right, this is not the 16th century; it was the 17th century. But I remember being paid £9 in my hand a week. You can't do anything with that, even in the
But it is a tough job. It is, you're doing the lesson planning, you're doing the marking, you set your internal exams. People don't, they always right for you, you're 9 to 3, 9 to 4. No, you're not. I used to get in at 7:30 every day, and sometimes I was still there at 6 o'clock.
let me tell you another thing that I have gone back into teaching in international schools in Spain to help out at the time. Oh, and it was a joy. Because the kids were wonderful.
Yeah.
If they stepped out of line because mum and dad was paying a fortune, they'd have been round the left ear hole. Uh,
Yeah.
and the difference between a state school and a private school.
But
Sorry, folks.
I don't know. I think these days as well, I think the private schools, the parents are quite entitled. They feel quite privileged.
There is that
So,
problem.
I mean, my daughter over in Bermuda, her daughter's year. So what is she? She would be year 5, and this letter came home from the school. Now my grandchildren are not allowed mobile phones, right? But there was somebody in the class, and I know who she is because she's a spoilt little witch, and she was sending nasty messages out and all of this. So everybody in the class gets this letter that this is unacceptable, blah blah blah, and then Nikki sort of says, well, which I actually had to say to her, this is the school problem. I said, no, why is it the school's problem? I know you haven't got phones for your children, but It's not the school's problem. The schools are doing their bit. It's the parents' problem. They bought the device. They're not monitoring the device. Don't send a letter into your school to say, it's your responsibility. No, it's not. It's not. And that is all about, and these, that's a fee-paying school. It's across the world. Doesn't matter. I think that it's again that the snowflake generation, don't push me because I melt. So everybody else has got to do it. Or
Well,
Gen Z, whatever they're called. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, quite honestly.
well, yes, zero. We should be saying Gen Z and not the American.
I don't know what it's supposed to mean. I just, oh,
Listen, we've got to move on quickly. And can I mention that I saw a video the other day that I'm afraid impressed me, even though it was from Robert Jenrick, Tory. But I tell you what, I thought it was brilliant how he'd gone down on the underground, apparently illegally, that's what they
oh
said,
yes, yes, I saw that.
and said, it can't go on all this fare dodging, etc. And I thought, well done. And I tell you what, he's done himself no harm. It was a good vid.
Yeah.
And not only that, there are lots of things like shoplifting he could have tackled from the same point of view.
Mm,
And
mm.
that is cruel because even in these towns, we mentioned Erdington, we had people telling us of the local butcher shop prepares a tray of chops or whatever. Said illegal immigrant comes in, takes the whole tray
Mm.
of chops, and nobody to stop him. Certainly no police. And it's not just the chops, which are expensive, it's the cost of the tray,
Yeah.
because they're special trays. And these small time shopkeepers
Mm.
are being really militant. In every way, they're being got at
Yeah,
by
it's
the federal
terrible. It's
government.
absolutely terrible. It's dreadful. It's dreadful. I mean, the crime rate, because so many of, I mean, my family in Bermuda do not understand what it feels like to be in England. They say, "Oh, somebody's like, well, you'd want to come to a better country." I said, "But they're not all leaving persecution. We're the ones that are being persecuted by having them here. I mean, where's our human rights? So much for EHCR. What about us? What about Erdington's people that had the right, they chose a village and they had the right to live in it as a village. Now they're overrun. I know my son when he did politics and he used to be helped an MP, and he said they need to get out of the metropolis and go out into rural Britain and see how people really feel because they have no understanding of how people are feeling out there. And I do think it's a simmering pot that won't take long to explode if they don't get their act together soon. You can just feel it underneath the surface.
It is palpable and it's
It is definitely.
yeah. Now, something unusual. Come on. We're going to talk for a bit, and this is a difficult subject, and we're not going to get to grips with it all, but it's just out there for people to think about. And that is androgynous alopecia. That's the posh word for going bald.
Yeah, yeah, alopecia. Yeah, my mother had alopecia.
Well, 85% of men are suffering from this by the time they get to 50.
Yeah. Well, you
Oh,
mean just going bald? Going bald?
going bald, yes.
Yeah.
And what it is, well, there are many causes. There are 13 major causes. So I'm going to cheer you up now and go through them.
Right.
Some we can't comment on because it gets very medical. But watch out for the following. Number one, hereditary. That's the major cause. If you've
Right.
got, a history of going bald, the chances are you will continue so. And really, the only answer there is to have an implant individual, which I can't think of anything more painful. Apparently, people that have had individual follicular implants say, oh, it's not that bad. But you've got to be fairly desperate to have it. So there you go. The second one is the menopause. Now, I didn't notice going bald was causing but the menopause, but it does for the ladies.
Yeah, ladies' hair gets thinner.
It does. Can I mention at this stage, by the way, you may think this is good news or bad, but you ordinarily lose between 100 and 150 hairs every day.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. But now listen, what the thing to do is to take biotin, biotin, biotin. It's a thing that actually it does genuinely help your hair grow, and you can buy gummies that as hair something or other. I can't remember the name of it, but biotin is the thing to take.
Oh, right, there you go. Good
Mm.
advice. The third one is a shock, right? Stress.
Oh yeah,
That
definitely.
comes in many
Yeah,
guises.
yeah.
Strangely, if you've had an operation, especially a major one,
Hmm.
that can cause hair loss. And
Yeah,
strangely, it happens often 5 or 6 months after the operation.
yeah, that's right.
So the body says, "Oh, what have I gone through?" And the
Yeah,
hair comes out.
that's right.
The other is if somebody close has died, that can
That's
produce the
right.
stress that
Yeah,
pulls hair.
that's how my mother got
Yep,
alopecia totalis. My grandma died, and the following year, my dad died, and the whole lot came out, eyebrows, everything.
golly, golly.
Mm, mm.
The number four is if you are low in iron
Yes.
deficiency. So that needs to be checked out,
And
obviously.
another thing that's good for hair growth as well is magnesium. Magnesium is
Is it?
very important. I can't remember uh, what vegetables and stuff have it, but magnesium is extremely important, as important as iron, and especially if you're in the menopause as well, and for hair and nails. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, oh, by the way, talking about magnesium, you can get it now if you can't tolerate the tablets because certain people have a reaction to magnesium tablets.
Mhm.
You can get it in a spray, and all you do is spray
Oh,
your legs
okay.
once a day, and it does the job. There you go. And the next one is thyroid. Again,
Yes.
lots of problems there
Yes,
that will have to
definitely.
be
Yeah. Horrible. It's a
had by doctor.
it's a horrible condition that really unpleasant.
Next one, PCOS. Have I got
What?
it yet? PCOS. Well, it's let me read this. Polycystic ovary,
Oh yes, 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 yes. Yeah.
and that obviously can be treated in
Mm.
various ways, often by
It
hormones.
it does cause hair loss, yeah. Or hair
Yeah,
growth as well. It can cause women a lot of problems with hair
yeah,
growth on their face.
yes, and other places even, they tell me. Right, number seven, too many supplements.
Mm.
Now, I've got to watch that because I'm on a very high supplement diet, and supplements are often dismissed by the medical profession because, oh, it's only jelly babies, Smarties, or whatever. No, some of the supplements are more powerful than the proper, inverted commas, medicines. You've got to be careful, and you
Yeah,
can
you
get
do.
conflicts in that. So there you go. Number eight, medication. That comes in all shapes and sizes. If you're not sure, ask your doctor if that's one of the side issues
Mm.
that you need to look at. Number nine, weight loss drugs. Now, because of diabetes, of course, we've gone down a fashion route here. I say fashion route, it's producing results. Instead of having a once a week injection in your stomach for diabetes, the spin-off for that is that it makes you lose your appetite and lose weight.
Mm.
So, but it has this unfortunate effect of losing hair as well. So that's another one. Number 10, if you've just given birth, the trauma thing,
Yes.
stress
Oh
thing.
gosh, yes, my hair came out in handfuls after I given birth. Absolutely it does. And this is where hairdressers are so good because hairdressers will they are like a doctor of your hair. My hairdresser, who I've had for a long time, will suddenly say, what's happened in the last 6 weeks of or before that, because your hair's gone this, that, or the other. It is true. Yeah.
Right, next one, you're on the pill. Now, I didn't notice this when I was on, not true, but that has, as we all know, side effects or can have. Number 12, STIs, which are very popular at the
Mm.
moment, going up in their droves and not being helped by people, which is true. Oh, we've got this injection you can have, especially for gonorrhea. Go to the NHS, and actually, it's only effective in 30% of cases, but it is effective. So it may be leading to more STIs. So that has an effect. And last one, of course, as we mentioned at the beginning, alopecia can cause
Mm,
baldness, obviously.
mm,
So
mm.
there you are. It's a very complicated issue, and you must get proper medical
Because
advice.
you also think as well with stress, which is true of my mum, that when you're stressed, everything gets tight and the hair follicles sort of like stop the hair coming, growing and all of that and cut it off. And that's why, so my mum spent the last 10, 15 years of her life wearing a wig.
Yeah, yeah.
Looked gorgeous. I mean, honestly, it looked lovely. It looked like she'd just come out of hairdressers. And but the trouble is with wearing wigs, they're hot. So, if it's your hair, the wind blows through your hair, but it doesn't with a wig. She used to find it really hot.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, yeah, not good. Yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
to get really old-fashioned now.
There you go.
And it's the Ms., Mrs. and Miss thing that I remember being upset. You won't agree with me on this one, but I shall mention it. I do remember actually the influence of America in various things. The first thing, of course, was at one of their great film presentation award things. I don't know which one it was now. Perhaps it was the Oscars, I don't know. But somebody stood up there and graciously gave their speech and said, I was effing glad about receiving this. And it was also better than the SH1T. Now, this happened about 30 years ago, and everybody was shocked. How on earth could they say that? Well, perhaps America was ahead of it. I am saying now that it's been normalized and you can listen
Well,
to.
I still think it's unnecessary.
Of
I
course it
don't.
is, but I
I
mean, it
just
has
don't.
been normalized.
Even if it has been normalised, I still don't think you're in a position of a professional position when you're getting some award or you're, I just think it's wholly unnecessary. I think it's unnecessary in humour. I mean, Michael McIntyre, you never hear him F and swear. You never hear him be grubby or mucky or. He's just genuinely a funny observer of human nature. Now,
Well,
why?
watch the Apollo, of course, and there it's full of
Oh,
effing and jeffing.
yeah, I know, I know.
Now, if you have to F and Jeff to be a comedian,
Yeah,
well, you're not a
it's not
comedian.
funny. It's not funny. I saw Jim Davidson once years ago, and it was at a club in near Windsor called Blazers, I think it was called. Oh, it was. I just walked out. It was just, and I'm not a prude, but I don't want to pay money to hear people swear.
No, Jim's got two audiences, actual fact, and one is the family audience.
Billy Connolly. I mean, he would be funny without all the effing and jeffing.
Yes, that's true. I watched a program the other night thinking I would be rolling about because he's a funny man. And I'm sorry, I didn't laugh once.
No, it's I don't like it. As I say, I'm not a prude. I'm not old-fashioned. I can use the F word when I'm angry enough. But I still don't think it's not necessary. I wouldn't do it ever in my professional role or out in public.
No, exactly. Um, right, that leads me on to what that was the lead in to the Mrs. and Miss. That came along from America as well. Of course, it's out of the women's lib movement,
Hmm.
which even now members of are discrediting what has happened because they've gone too far and had some bad results. But would you tell me, please, what is wrong with saying or identifying a Mrs., i.e., somebody that's married, and a Miss? Why do we need a Ms.?
Because it's all to do with transgender, isn't it, as well? The NHS can't call you by your name. They couldn't say to you now, Mr. Hurth, your appointment's ready, in case you're not Mr. Hurth, in case you actually really think you're Jane. And, so now you would be Rodney. Whenever I take Roger to the different clinics he goes to, it's, oh, Roger and Marilyn. Now, years ago, you'd have been condemned for being called by your Christian name because you'd be saying, "Well, hang on, you don't know who I am. I have a bit of respect, please." But you can't. And adding to this now, of course, we have the NSPCC giving out all sorts of advice about transgender and people, youngsters even as young as 5, being able to take transgender courses and drugs. It's absolutely outrageous. They're supposed to be a safeguarding organization, but this is why the Miss, the Mrs, and Ms, whatever, because we don't know. You can't call things breastfeeding anymore. It has to be chest feeding, in case in case it's a man who's had a baby. And
And
the world's
it's
gone
not
mad, Rodney. The world's gone mad.
yeah, I
We're
know.
off to hell in a handcart, I'm afraid.
It's not looking good. I tell you what, as well, living on the continent, other countries look at Britain, it's not just the US, and say, what's happened?
Mm.
What's going on here?
I know you can't. Yeah, I'm sure they're laughing their heads off at us. I mean, you can't call it Great Britain anymore. It's
No.
just Britain.
Yeah.
It's just it's almost embarrassing. And that's what I find so sad is I've always been proud to be English, but now I'm sort of like, and when you are abroad, people ask you what's it like? We see all this stuff. What's it like? And I never understand. I'll say to people, well, if you see somebody, where are you from? Where'd you come from? And they say, oh, yes, I've been living in England for 5 years. Why on earth did you leave Italy? Why would anyone want to leave Italy? But
Yeah.
you see, then there's quite a lot of Bermudians that live in Birmingham. I don't know why, but they come over here as well because over in Bermuda there are no benefits. There's no benefit, or the benefits of the sun, obviously, but there's no financial benefits.
No.
It really is like white supremacy. It really is like colonialism. You've got the mega rich, and there's nothing in the middle. If you're down to your last 2 million, you're considered poor. And you've got the Bermudians, the black Bermudians, who run the coffee shops and the tourist shops, but there's no benefits, there's no sick benefits, nothing like that. So they come here because of the NHS, because there are a benefit system, because they can be helped. There's quite a lot of poverty over there, and it saddens me because there is so much ridiculous, insane wealth. One of my daughter's friends earns £3 million a year in reinsurance. I mean, that's obscene.
Golly. It's almost
Yes.
as good as a footballer, isn't it?
Oh, and
We
then you've got these poor people who are the actual natives of Bermuda, who I don't know how they don't get riled with anger when they see all the amazing yachts these people have got, the way they live, the way they dress. I mean, you know, it's it's just complete opposites, which sort of kind of upsets me. As much as I love it over there, that aspect of it really upsets me. There's enough money there that collectively, a lot of these entitled white people could collectively, who are enjoying living there, could help the actual natives.
Yeah. Well, it's a difficult world. You've got to be disposed to be jealous, in my humble opinion.
Mm.
There are many, many. We've got the situation here in Marbella because it's a very rich estate.
Yes, again, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And the difference between somebody who is a mechanic
Yeah.
earning a good wage here. I
Mm,
mean, not status wise. And the Spanish are very good at that. They don't get jealous easily.
mm, mm,
They have other, don't we all, good and bad traits, but they certainly don't get.
mm,
If
mm.
you've got it, you've got to enjoy it.
It's actually it's a nice way to be, really, that if you're not envious, because envy sort of does grate away at you, doesn't it?
It does.
It
It
does it does sort of get under the skin, and it leaves you very discontented, and that's not a way to live your life.
No, and having said that, that's why a lot of people regretfully vote socialist because I want a bit of what you're earning. Well, as long as you have the opportunity to earn what I'm earning, I've got no problem that it's up to you, sunshine,
Mm,
to get
mm.
off your proverbial and get working. Which
Yeah.
leads us finally onto your favourite subject, wine, because there's been a terrible thing come out this year. Well, a very short time ago, last week, from the States. They've tested lots of people over 5 years, and it's no longer a good idea to even have one glass of red. Now, we've always thought a glass of red is good for
A
you.
glass.
A glass,
Only a glass.
or a glass if you're up north. There's no R in glass. Why do you pronounce it that? Anyway,
Because
if
I
you have
come from the south.
I see.
We have grass. We have a bath.
Well, we have a yeah, we have a yeah, you bet you have a bath as well.
A bath,
Have
and the
a,
grass.
have a shower. That cures everything. So there we are. If you have one glass of wine a day, it's because of ethanol. Alcohol is made up of ethanol, and that really is bad for you. People know that. Even a glass of day will
It won't stop me.
well,
I'm
nothing will
actually
stop you.
marinating. So I'm marinating in it. So I'm going to live to be about 100, unfortunately.
Probably. Well, there's another answer to this, and Spain have got it. The same day, practically, America announced this. They've started on their 5 years, so you'll have to wait 5 years by literally giving you a glass of red a day to prove that you will live just as long as the people that have been on this
Yeah,
five
but
year
then you
course.
read other reports that say a glass of wine every day actually helps your heart. It gets rid of the fatty tissue and other
Yes,
stuff.
yes, yes.
So I'm sorry, it's someone has grown that lovingly and all the grapes have been picked and turned it into something beautiful. It'd be rude not to drink it.
Well, it's been going on for a few centuries, hasn't it? It's even back in the dusty old book, the Bible, isn't it? Lo Locusts and honey are the things that you eat, and a glass of wine. Now, I don't fancy the locust bit, but it seems to be good. Well,
Well, thank goodness they don't tread the grapes with their feet anymore.
oh, yeah, yeah. Toenails spring to mind. Don't go there. It's a joy to have you back, young lady.
Lovely to be back, sort of. It's sunny now.
Oh,
It's
it's
sort of a
sunny
bit,
now.
I get used to it. It takes me a few days to sort of get back in the groove again, really. But that's, all things come to an end, so you have to go back to your daily routine, don't you?
The drudge.
Until you do it again.
Absolutely do. Well, you go back to the drudge of lifting your hand with
Oh,
glass of
I've
wine.
probably got repetitive strain injury, actually. Intravenous drip would be easier.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Okay, take care. God bless.